Hey everyone, today's it is about when he warms his face between your thighs. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Let's get going. Bakugou Katsuki. Bakugou was shivering due to the weather being unusually cold that day. Despite wearing his usual thick clothing, he still felt the chill penetrate through his skin. As he walked with you, he couldn't help but notice the warmth radiating from your body. Without a word, he knelt down in front of you and buried his face between you. He let out a surprised gasp at the sudden action, but didn't push him away. Instead, you allowed him to put his face between your thighs, running your fingers through his hair to comfort him. "Are you feeling better?" you asked softly, a small smile on your face. Bakugou looked up at you with a small smile, feeling the warmth of your body seeping into his bones. "Yeah, much better," he replied, before standing up and holding out his hand for you to take. As you walked on, your hand still in his, he couldn't help but feel grateful for your presence in his life. Todoroki Shouto. Todoroki had always been composed and unflappable, but the cold seemed to have gotten to him that day. As you both walked together, he kept rubbing his hands together and blowing warm air into them to keep them warm. You noticed his discomfort and offered to help, but you were still confused. Didn't he have a fire quirk? Was he doing this on purpose, perhaps? "You know, there's a better way to warm up," you said, gesturing towards your thighs. Todoroki looked at you with a surprised expression, still looking confused, but he didn't decline the offer. So he put his hands between your thighs, and then you looked at him and shook your head, telling him the exact idea that you wanted. He then buried his face between your thighs, taking in the warmth emanating from your body. You felt your cheeks heat up at the intimate gesture, but didn't stop him. "Thank you," Todoroki said. "This is way better." His voice was muffled against your skin. You simply smiled and ran your fingers through his hair, feeling a sense of closeness with him that you hadn't felt before. Midoriya Izuku. Midoriya had been feeling a bit under the weather for a few days, and the cold weather only made it worse. As you walked together, you noticed him shivering and looking quite pale. "Are you okay, Midoriya?" you asked, concern lacing your voice. Midoriya shook his head. "I'm not feeling well, and the cold isn't really helping at all." You offered him your warmth. "Here, sit down, and maybe you can rest your head on my lap." Without hesitation, Midoriya sat down and rested his head on your lap, closing his eyes as the warmth from your body involved him. You were quite confused on how he didn't act shy like he always did, but you ran your fingers through his hair nonetheless, soothing him with your gentle touch. "Thank you," Midoriya said, looking up at you with a grateful expression on his face. "Of course, Midoriya." Kirishima ejirou. Kirishima was always energetic and full of life, but the cold seemed to have dampened his spirits that day. As you walked together, you noticed him rubbing his hands together and shivering. "Are you cold?" you asked, concern evident in your voice. Kirishima nodded. "Yeah, freezing actually. I can't seem to warm up." You looked at his hand and took them, led him to a nearby bench, and sat down with him. You then gestured towards your thighs. "Here, warm up between my thighs." He looked at you with a surprised expression before kneeling down in front of you and burying his face between your thighs, feeling the warmth of your body seeping into his skin. "You're so warm," Kirishima said, his voice muffled against your skin. You simply smiled. and ran your fingers through his hair, enjoying the closeness between you two. Kaminari. Kaminari is always trying to have fun, but the cold seemed to have made him more subdued that day. As you walked together, you noticed how he was hunching his shoulders and rubbing his arms to keep warm. You look like you could use some warmth, you said with a small smile. Kaminari nodded. Yeah, I'm feeling a bit cold. Without hesitation, he sat down on a nearby bench and gestured for him to sit down between you. Kaminari looked at you with a surprised expression, but sat down, feeling the warmth of your body enveloping him. Thanks, you're so warm, Kaminari said, with a small grin, resting his hand on your lap. You ran your fingers through his hair, enjoying the intimacy between you two. Anything from my favorite electric hero? You replied with a teasing tone. Kaminari let out a chuckle, feeling grateful for your presence and the warmth that surrounded him. As you walked with each of them, feeling their warmth against your body, you couldn't help but feel grateful for the closeness you shared with each of them. Even in the midst of the cold, your love for each other kept you warm and content. Shinsou Hitoshi. Shinsou had always been someone who kept himself, rarely showing his emotions to others. However, the cold seemed to have affected him more than he let on. You could see him shivering as you walked, his hands rubbing together in an attempt to generate warmth. Concerned for him, you led him to a secluded spot, away from the prying eyes of others. You sat down with him and gestured towards your thighs. Here, warm up between you. You said softly. Shinsou looked up at you with a surprised expression. He then knelt down and buried his face between your thighs. You ran your fingers through his hair, helping him relax and warm up. For a moment, you both sat there in silence, enjoying the warmth and the peaceful moment between you. Thank you, Shinsou said, his voice muffled against your skin. You smiled and wrapped your arms around him, holding him close. And as you both sat there, you could feel a sense of closeness growing between you two. It was as if the cold weather had brought you both together in a way that wouldn't have been possible otherwise. Thank you guys for listening. Hope you liked this video. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Goodbye!